I first came to Joli Ann when it opened in 2008. It was the first year of its opening, and I finished elementary school here. It was a really good experience because everything was completely brand new, and all the teachers and both the students were learning a lot. One of the memories I remember is that one of the teachers came and had an Odyssey kind of program after school, and it was for GATE kids, and because of that I was able to explore with experiments, physics experiments, and building catapults at a really young age, and that kind of launched me into the STEM majors.
I want to take a few short minutes to tell you a little about my friend Joli. Joli loved horses, she loved Mexican food, and mostly she loved being a teacher. Everything in her life served as a lesson, and she was always eager to share what she learned with others.
I absolutely believe with all my heart that Joli Ann would be, and her family, Tony and Lee, her parents, would be absolutely proud of how the school has evolved from where we were at the beginning in 2008 to where we are now and where we're headed into the future.
Let me start out differently, if I may. I've been doing this since Lee Leichtag passed away in 2007. Prior to his death, 4.5 months prior to his death, his daughter Joli Ann, passed away after about a 1.5-year battle with lung cancer, non-smoker's lung. Near the very end, I was with her father at the hospital. We went to see her, and you can imagine it was an extraordinarily sad situation. She was really battling a terrible disease. And her father, really at the very end, accepted the idea that he was going to lose his daughter. And on the way back, he said to me, Jim, I really want to try to find an elementary school that I can put my daughter's name on. And as soon as I dropped him off, I sort of began to shake in my boots. It was not my experience that naming a public school after anybody is extraordinarily rare. Upon my return to my office, and at the time I was practicing law, I worked in a suite with a number of lawyers, including Randy Walton.
So Jim, knowing that I was somewhat related to education, I was just running for office in San Marcos Unified, Jim came in to my office and he said, "Hey Randy, what's the policy in San Marcos Unified for naming a building after somebody?" I had no idea. I didn't even know that we had a policy, quite honestly. But I told him, I said, "Hey, look, I don't know, but I can find out." So I picked up the phone and I called Kevin Holt, and Dr. Kevin Holt at the time was the superintendent of San Marcos Unified School District.
I met Randy, and one day he approached me and said, "Have you named that elementary school you're building yet?" I said, "No, it's the first elementary school we have built in the history of San Marcos Unified that didn't have a name before we started to break ground."
And I knew Randy had been very involved in the San Marcos Unified School District. He looked at me when I asked him the question, and his response was sort of interesting. He said, "It's moments like this that makes me think there's a God." And that caught my attention, and he said, "I just dropped the phone. I was talking to Kevin Holt. We were talking about the fact that our newest elementary school that's under construction and over halfway done has yet to be named." And I said, "Wow, that's interesting." He called up Kevin. We had lunch that day at 1 o'clock out in at a restaurant in San Marcos.
And so I met Jim Farley for the first time at lunch, Mr. Leichtag, and then Randy and I. After that lunch, everyone felt good about naming the elementary school Joli Ann. And in return, we named the school Joli Ann Leichtag, and then they provided us $6 million.
And the day we did the ribbon cutting, I think the 5th graders each got a butterfly and they released it. And when the release happened, it was a really interesting phenomenon because one of the butterflies hung out for a long time around Tony. And people saw great meaning in that idea that butterfly just would be so interested in Tony on that day.
And that $6 million allowed us to create the PACE Promise. We had already had an agreement for guaranteed admission with Cal State San Marcos, but we didn't really have any oomph behind it. And the $6 million allowed us to get some oomph behind it. Lisa, as the executive director of the foundation, she has really exponentially grown this program.
Dating back to 2007 when the scholarships started, we've been able to provide over 750 scholarships to students, and a lot of these students were first-generation college students. To be the first person in your family to attend a four-year university, that's life-changing in itself. And I think to show some student what exists out there in their future and to help them really to dream big and to provide opportunities, I think is life-changing and can change the trajectory for so many students.
And then after a few years, it turned that more could be done if the programs stopped doing the scholarships as they were and really concentrated on a whole range of programs that prepare students for whatever comes next after high school. And that could be college, that could be work in different fields, and they do that in a whole range of ways through counseling and testing and looking at your interests and your values. They have career fairs and set up internship programs, the list goes on and on. And so it turned then into the San Marcos Promise. It became its own nonprofit organization.
I've been a part of the San Marcos Promise my entire college career. It's helped me so much with everything, with resume building, professional tips, mock interviews, everything and anything with the professional and business world.
I can say without a question that Joli would have been extraordinarily proud to have her name on that school. It's a beautiful school, it's a great district, and she was committed to education in a very serious way. She'd be very proud to have her name on that school, I know.